No, Philippines next year.
Yeah.
We in 2 years.
Yeah, you have to check with Park Eco or Park Normandy.
Okay, yes, I will do.
So now he have to call Professor Normandy, Professor Echo, Professor Alin, three professor there in
Yes,
Jakarta.
Professor from Lawarman, from
So I have
Jakarta. And also this year, we successful to make collaboration in research with some university in Malaysia, Prof. I think you know him, Professor Martada.
who?
Professor Martada.
Oh, Matada, UUM.
Yes, from UUM.
Yeah, Matada.
Yeah,
How about
we
him?
discussed about bureaucratic reform with him.
Uh-huh.
And next year with you about climate change, right? Next year
For me,
with you next year to research collaboration.
that's okay. So I think that I have to check my Zoom again. So I have to leave the meeting room for now, and I'll be back soon. Okay, I back now. So when we start the session?
In 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Oh, it's too soon. So I can speak around 1 and more hours and then discussion. So not too serious lecture because the idea is a little bit complicated, and I think that it is the master degree student. So most of them is the bachelor degree, so it's really difficult for them to understand what I will talk about. So no, but I free to open for somebody who not like to discuss or ask some question. That's okay.
All right.
How about your friend Diana? Pak, your friend in Malang, Pak
Pak Salahuddin.
Salahuddin.
Now his career is very good because he to be
Hmm.
in academic issue.
He get the executive position already, huh? Pak.
Yeah. So I congratulations with him
Hmm.
last month maybe, and I meet him in Malang. Now we waiting Maidin to join Achan. So
That's okay. No worry.
do you know Miss Perwanese Achan?
Assalamualaikum Pak Dekan. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Mohon maaf ada tamu sebentar sudah pulang ke barisan.
Iya,
Iya.
ini baru tampil.
Iya.
Sehat Pak Dekan.
Alhamdulillah. Apa kabar?
Alhamdulillah sehat juga kami. Kami di atas Pak Dekan dengan Bu Fajar.
Oh,
Teman-teman
iya.
ada Mbak Dini, ada Bu Talita.
Oh iya. Moderator siapa? Ibu Talita atau Pak Daryono?
Pak Daryono, Pak.
Oh.
Tadi Prof Satapun sudah join, tapi kita lihat dia terkeluar
Oh.
atau
Ada keluar tuh.
sedang nelpon sepertinya tadi.
Iya. Masih ada beliau.
Alhamdulillah Bapak bisa join.
Alhamdulillah, ya. Saya justru minta ditunda ke besok malah tadi.
Oh, yang
dengan
acara
pihak Kesra, ya.
Iya.
Pak Dekan sambil nunggu Prof Satapun on cam, tadi saya titip berkas ke Mas J untuk yang
ya, ada sudah.
Bapak kah?
Ya, itu untuk aneh ya.
Kelanjutan di second semester untuk mahasiswa
ya, bagus.
IPS Kompen.
Ya, kemarin bisnis ada 23 orang ya, bisnis ya?
Betul ya, 23.
Bagus.
Mudahan
ya, nyusul AN segala program-program yang lain lah.
Insya Allah ini AP dengan sosiologi nanti di semester depan ini akan diupayakan.
Iya.
Kemarin kan sudah meeting dengan Komken untuk AP dan pembangunan sosial, Pak Dekan. Jadi sedang dipersiapkan SDM-nya ini oleh Mbak Fajar. Ketawa Mbak Fajar.
Ini sepertinya maraton ini.
Maraton. Pak Dekan, kita mulai Pak Dekan.
Silakan Pak Dar.
Baik Pak, mic-nya MC.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, as we are about to begin the event, I would request each one of you to kindly switch your mobile phones and other gadgets to silent mode. Please turn off your microphone on your device and turn on your webcam during the webinar. Also, if you have questions, please raise your hand or ask your question in the chat box and ask in the question and answer session. Thank you very much for your cooperation and attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International Guest Lecture 2021 with the theme Bureaucratic Reform. It is my pleasure to be the master of ceremony for today's webinar. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to the Honorable Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Mula Warman University, Indonesia, Dr. Haji Muhammad Nur, MSc. The Honorable Study Program Coordinator of Public Administration, Dr. Fajar Apriani, SOS, MSc. The Honorable, the invited speaker from Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Khon Kaen University, Thailand, Professor Sataporn Rengtam, PhD. The Honorable, the invited moderator from Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Mula Warman University, Indonesia, Mr. Daryono, MSc, PhD. The Honorable, all of the guests, colleagues, and participants. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to first introduce you to our agenda. First is prayer. Second, singing national anthem. Third, welcome speech by the Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Mula Warman University, Indonesia. Fourth, photo session. Fifth, lecturing session. Last is closing. Ladies and gentlemen, to start off this morning event, I invite upon Mr. Daryono, MSc, PhD, to lead us into prayer.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, Dr. Haji Muhammad Nur, MSc, as a Dean of Social and Political Science Faculty, Mula Warman University. And also, good afternoon, Professor Satapon Rongtan, PhD, as a speaker at this event. And Dr. Fajar Apriani as a head of public administration from Mula Warman University. And also my college here and all of participants, welcome in this event. Thank you very much for this opportunity to lead the prior reading in this guest lecture with Prof. Satapon Rongtam from Khon Kaen University. For those who are Muslim, you can pray with me. And meanwhile, for others, we respect you and please pray according to your religions. Let's start to say Bismillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. All praises belong to Allah. All praises turn back to Allah. And all praises due to Allah. Ya Rabb, our gratitude and thanks we convey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your blessing, your love, and your attention. Also your protection and your guidance. We realize, acknowledge, and recognize that you are the owner of everything. Everything is created by you, Ya Rabb. There is no power that we have except from you. There is no knowledge that we have except you have bestowed upon us. We try to be the righteous in the word. We try to be obey with you. Ya Rabb, today we are here to attend a guest lecture from Mula Warman University from the public administration. Ya Rob, we want to learn and try with all our heart. We hope our activities today can run optimally. Make it easy and smooth for our events. Give a lot of insight from this event and give bless from this event. Also give reward to all of team who have worked hard in making this activity in success. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daryono, MSc, PhD. Now we will sing National Anthem Indonesia Raya. The distinguished guests are kindly requested to sit up straight. Now it is my honor to invite the Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Mula Warman University, Indonesia, Dr. Haji Muhammad Nur, MSc, to deliver the welcome speech.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Safira Auralia Rahmat. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang dan salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad wa ala alihi washabbihi ajmain. Amma ba'd. Yang sama-sama kita hormati Ketua Program Studi Administrasi Publik, Ibu Dr. Fajar Apriani, MSI. Terima kasih sudah menginisiasi acara kuliah umum internasional pada hari ini. And dear Honorable Prof. Satapon Program PhD, thank you for you accept my invitation to join us in the international guest lecture in the Faculty of Social and Political Science, Mula Warman University. Stay healthy, Roksa Sokap Hap, Prof. Yang sama-sama kita hormati, kita banggakan moderator pada acara kita hari ini, Pak Daryono PhD. Terima kasih partisipasinya luar biasa dalam mensukseskan acara kita pada hari ini. Yang sama-sama kita hormati dan kita banggakan, Bapak dan Ibu dosen di lingkungan FISIP Unmul, khususnya program studi administrasi publik yang berkenan hadir pada hari ini, dan terkhusus kepada seluruh mahasiswa yang sama-sama kita cintai, kita banggakan, khususnya mahasiswa program studi administrasi publik yang dengan bangga dan tentu saja dengan penuh konsentrasi dan minat penuh untuk mengikuti acara kuliah umum kita pada pagi hari ini. Pertama tentu kita memanjatkan puji syukur kepada Allah Subhanahu wa taala karena hanya dengan berkat rahmat hidayahnya maka kita diringankan langkah dan dimudahkan hati untuk mengikuti acara pada hari ini. Salawat serta salam kita panjatkan kepada junjungan besar kita Nabi Muhammad SAW yang telah memberikan jalan dan petunjuk kepada seluruh umat manusia, insya Allah hingga akhir zaman. Pertama-tama atas nama FISIP Unmul, saya menyampaikan apresiasi yang setinggi-tingginya, terima kasih sebesar-besarnya kepada semua pihak, khususnya kepada Ibu Ketua Program Studi Administrasi Publik, Ibu Dr. Fajar, Pak Daryono, Bapak dan Ibu dosen, dan semua pihak yang terlibat dalam kegiatan pada hari ini. Luar biasa karena untuk kesekian kalinya kita melaksanakan kuliah umum dalam skala internasional yang tentu saja di samping menambah pemahaman dan pengetahuan bagi anak-anak kita juga tentu akan sangat bermanfaat bagi penilaian akreditasi fakultas dan khususnya program studi dan terkhusus program studi administrasi publik. Kita tahu bahwa Indonesia sebagai bagian dari masyarakat dunia dalam beberapa tahun atau beberapa puluh tahun terakhir ini gigih sekali untuk melaksanakan reformasi birokrasi, dan barangkali kalau anak-anak sekalian pernah mendengar istilah miskin struktur kaya fungsi yang didengung-dengungkan sejak beberapa puluh tahun yang lalu oleh Presiden Soeharto, sesungguhnya itu adalah merupakan cikal bakal dari apa yang disebut dengan reformasi birokrasi. Karena dalam reformasi birokrasi kita akan berusaha untuk menghindarkan terjadinya birokrat yang bertele-tele, birokrat yang bertingkat banyak, sehingga diupayakan semakin singkat dan semakin sedikit alur birokrasi maka akan semakin baik proses perjalanan pemerintahan dan pengurusan atau penyelesaian hal-hal yang terkait dengan masalah pemerintahan. Dan ada satu buku wajib yang barangkali kita semua tahu, khususnya yang di usia-usia 40 atau 50 tahun, bahwa pada tahun 97 yang lalu David Osborne membuat atau menulis buku tentang reinventing government, yang itu juga merupakan cikal bakal bagaimana mewirausahakan atau mewiraswastakan lembaga-lembaga pemerintah agar bisa lebih efektif, efisien dalam memberikan pelayanan kepada publik. Dan sekian tahun berjalan, maka istilah birokrasi reformasi ini semakin kita dengungkan baik di perguruan tinggi maupun di lembaga-lembaga pemerintahan. Ini semua dalam rangka untuk meningkatkan pelayanan kepada masyarakat dari pemerintah, dari pihak swasta maupun pihak-pihak terkait dalam proses pemerintahan. Oleh karena itu sekali lagi atas nama dekan, atas nama fakultas kami mengapresiasi pelaksanaan acara kuliah umum yang mengambil tema tentang birokrasi reformasi pada hari ini. Baik Bapak Ibu sekalian yang berbahagia dan anak-anak semua, mari kita bersama-sama membuka acara ini dengan mengharapkan ridho dari Allah Subhanahu wa taala dan tentu saja mengharapkan keikhlasan dari semua yang hadir pada siang hari ini. Mari kita bersama-sama mengucapkan basmalah, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bersama-sama kita membuka acara kuliah umum mahasiswa program studi administrasi publik dengan tema Burearucratic Reform pada hari ini Senin tanggal 15 November tahun 2021. Maka dengan ini dengan resmi kita nyatakan dibuka. Demikian, terima kasih semuanya. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam. Swastikap.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Haji Muhammad Nur, MSc. Now, before we go on, I would like to invite our distinguished guests, participants, and the organizing committee to turn on your camera to take pictures together. For the first slide, 1, 2, 3. All right, the second slide, 1, 2, 3. The third slide, 1, 2, 3. Fourth slide, 1, 2, 3. For the fifth slide, 1, 2, 3. For the sixth slide, 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you very much. The next session is lecturing session from Professor Satapon Rengtam, PhD, that will be led by the moderator, Mr. Daryono, MSc, PhD. For Mr. Daryono, time is yours.
Thank you for this opportunity again. Thank you, Pak Dekan, for your speech. It's very nice. Prof. Satapon, you want to say something with my dean now?
Yep. Hello.
Halo.
His name is Muhammad Nur Satapon.
Okay. Nice to see you, Professor.
Okay, now it's time for discussion about our topic, bureaucratic reform. But before we learn from Prof. Satapon Rengtam, I want to introduce about him. But I know that some of you already met him many times because we invite him more than 3 times. Now it's 4 times, maybe, because first time we invite him on 2016. Prof. Satapon visited in Mulawaram University. And then the second time, I think 2019. And now we invite him again to be speaker in guest lecture, specifically from our department, public administration. And now I want to introduce about his career because I got from him a lot of experience about his research. He has a lot of experience in teaching. He teach in more than one university in Thailand. Number one is Burapa University. and then he teach in Konkan University. Also, he has a lot of experience in his research. I read here, start from 2008 until now, he has a lot of research, and he got funding from NGO and from the government, and also from his university. And the current his research is talk about governance development of local administration. He got funding from National Research Council from Thailand. And I read here also, he has a lot of paper in publication in Scopus Index Journal. I tried to account, he has more than 6 journal. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 journal in Scopus Index. So very inspiring us because Scopus is the highest index in journal for international. And also he has high position in his faculty because he also to be head of public administration department in humanities and social science, and also others position. And now he will share about many knowledge about bureaucratic reform, but I don't know exactly. Maybe he will talk about in Thailand or in a context. Up to you, Prof. Because you have time around 1 hours to share your PPT. After that, we continue by discussion. So I want to ask you, you want to organize yourself by yourself or you need assistance for me about your slide? You want to share by yourself?
I can share by myself, no worry.
Oh, okay. Okay. Time is yours, Achan.
Mhm,
You have
thank
time
you.
around 1 hours to share your PPT. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Ayano. Good afternoon, my honorable deans and the head of department. Um, Again, my name is Thapon Rangkap. I'm teach in public administration program in Konkan University, and also currently I try to develop several projects in the topic like this, like a bureaucracy reform, public administration reform. I think topic is very popular because you know that currently in case of the public services, the role of the official or public officer is the main responsibility of them. So if we can uh, reform or if we can adjust them to work efficiently or effectively, so the people can get a better services from the government. And then when the people get the good services from the government, I think the regime of the country will be sustained, and the people and the country can be developed together to be the well-being. So this is the first thing that I like to introduce to the importance of this topic, bureaucratic reform. So when we talking about the bureaucratic reform, we should talking about sorry, the reason that why we have to reform the bureaucracy. The reason that why we have to reform the bureaucracy is the big question or the major question that we have to thinking about before we go into the theory or the practices of the reforms. So in my review from the documents, books, and publications in the term of public administration, I think that there are 5 or 6 questions that we have to raise The first one is about the balance between political person and administration sectors. How can we improve the relationship between them? So between politician and the officer. How can both of them work together? And how can they share their resources, experience, or knowledge to develop the public services? This is the first thing that we have to do when we start to talking about the reform. I think in globally right now, in terms of the developed countries, such as in the Western Europe, I think the relationship between the both sides is very important because when the government can make the good relationship between the politician and the officer and let them work together efficiently, the result is better. So this is the first thing that we talking about the reform. We have to think about the balance between the political and administration. And the second one is how can we increase the efficiency of the officers? I think this is the big thing, the efficiency of the officer. How can we reduce the red tape, or how can we do the inefficiency of the officer? How can we support the officers to work on time, right, the right track or right responsibility to the people? This is the question that we have to talking when we thinking about reforms. We have to concern that this is the big thing also. The third question in terms of the reform is what are the differences between public and business administration? Sometimes we think that if we can work like a business, the government works will be better. But sometimes when we apply the business agenda into the public agenda, I think the philosophy of business agenda is different from the public agenda because the business agenda aims to private interests, but the public agenda aims to public interest. So we have to concern that if we like to apply business administration into public administration, what type of application, how can apply that one? So this is the big question also for when we are in the public administration. We have to, and when we have to apply the business administration into our work. So what is the main purpose of application? This is the third one of the question before reform. And the fourth one is should the central government decentralize power? How and how much? At the meantime, I think the decentralization is the main issue in public administration, especially in our country, in Southeast Asia countries. Because of the decentralized power from the government to the local government is the matters of public works at this moment. But somebody try to ask about how to decentralize power, because it cannot manipulate the decentralized power process. And somebody will be talking about the bad side of the decentralization. Somebody said about the readiness of the people to get power transformation of the government. Somebody asked about how can the local government can take the action instead of the central government effectively. So this is the question for the reforms also. Fourth one, Mr. Dayano. Mr. Dayano.
Yes, I am, Prof.
I think the voice is echo. Can
Yes,
you
we will
reduce
check.
the voice in your room or something? Because
we will check
it's echo to my laptop.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, I think it's
Hello.
clear, Ajahn. It's clear, your voice.
Hello.
Yes, yes, we can hear your voice is clear.
Yeah. You can hear me clear, but
Yes.
when I listen, the voice
Yes.
on the program is like an echo. You know, it got like a duplication of the voice. It seems that I talk too time. Okay, I try to adjust. Okay, no. So the fifth one, how can we make the state offices work efficiently and effectively? At the same time, how can develop equality? I think the equality is the big word, the major word or major termination of public administration right now throughout the world. Equality means that everybody can get the quality of public services, and everyone can use the quality of services for their everyday life. So when we talk about the reform, we have to talk about the equality. Same person have to get the same right equally. Nobody can get the privilege if they are people in the same society. So the roles of the government has to apply the function to make the equality for the people. How can the government develop equality? This is the question for reform also. And the last one, who should work as executive and how role of academics in administration should be. Who should work as an executive? The good man, the best man, the clever man, the moral man, or someone that the people want to be. Who should be the executive? Who should be the president? What is the quality of a good president? What is a good quality for the mayor? This is the big question for reform. At this moment, the new generation, they are growing, they are seeing the world different from the older generation. So the president in their view might different from the president from their parents, whether or not. This is the idea that we have to talk about the next generation of the executive. And the last question is how low of academic. How can we apply the theory into the practice, to the new practice to adjust the public works? Because if the public works cannot be supported by the academic, they might not be successful because of the lack of the good evidence or good data to support the public officers. So this is the big thing that I try to introduce you for like introduction to the concept of the reform. When we are like academicians talking about the reform in public administration, this is the central question that we have to start thinking about. So when we talk about the question like that, like those one, we have to compare to the conditions of the reform also. When we like to get the good answer for those questions, we have to concern about the context of the society, context of the politics, context of the economic, because we cannot distinguish, or we cannot separate the public administration out of the politics, out of the economy. The public administration or the bureaucracy is a part of the ecosystem, social ecosystem. So when we talk about the reform, we have to talk about the complexity of the society. The complexity of the society means that in a society there are several factors, there are several parties, there are several problems living together. In one society, there is not just only one pattern. There are several patterns. For example, the student, they have their lifestyle different from the public officers, and the public officer have a different lifestyle from the executives, and the businessmen have a lifestyle different from the general people. So in a society, we have a lot of problems that have to be solved. So we cannot make just only a policy or a plan for solving problem of all parties in the society. We have to talk about, or we have to think about what kind of policies that fit for a context. So we have several contexts, so we have several policies also. This is the condition of. If we believe that we have a policy that can solve every problem, I think you will be wrong. This is the condition of this. The second one is the problem in the society, not just only the problem that happened today, but it will be the next or the new problem that we have to deal with always. For example, the COVID-19. Nobody think that the COVID-19 will be happen 2 years ago. Until now, it's still happen in every country. So we have to talk about the new problem, and it's not like the same problem that happened before. So we have to think to reform the public administration or bureaucracy to deal with or to work the problem of COVID-19 pandemic. So this is why we have to reform the bureaucracy, because in case of Thailand, if we believe in the conventional bureaucracy and we don't want to adjust the bureaucracy, we cannot control the disease. So the bureaucracy have to reform or adjust themselves to work in case of a crisis. And I believe that in the future, the humankind will be confronted with the next level of the crisis or the next kind of crisis, or maybe like climate change in the future that happen to the ecology or the human society, that we have to reform the bureaucracy again to manage the crisis. And the third one that will be the main condition for the reform is the differences of core beliefs and ideology. Like I said before, the new generation, the generation X, Y, and Z think about their society different from the generation, the boom generation. I mean that the people were born after 2000, maybe 2000, think about their worldview, that they have their worldview different from the people born before 2000. So that means that if the government try to make a public good for the new generation, they have to think different, because the value of the new generation is different. Maybe in case of the politics, I think the new generation view of politics may be different or the same, I'm not sure. But we have to concern that in the same area we have different beliefs and ideology. We have not to use the only set of bureaucracy to control the belief and ideology that have a lot of differences. This is the reason that why we have to reform the bureaucracy. The condition why we have to reform the bureaucracy. If you believe in the reform, the first one that you have to concern is everything is not static. It is dynamic. If you believe in dynamic, you are going to be the reformist. If you believe in statics, I think you have a problem when you think about reform. This is the series of reform that I searched from the internet, and I found some document that is interesting. I like to get it for sharing with you. I think in case of the bureaucracy, we have 6 reforms until now. I think the first reform is start from the problem like that. how can we put government on an orderly efficient footing? That means that how can we develop the bureaucracy to work efficiently? So the question, the answer is the Burearucratic public administration. If the student in this class studying public administration, they have to know Weber, Max Weber. So I will explain more about the Weberian public administration. Because Weberian public administration try to create the theory and practice to develop public government to work efficiently, like division of labor practices, like rule and regulations, like a hierarchy, something like that. So this is the answer to the question that how can we develop efficiency of the government. This is the first reform in public administration. And the second reform come from the problem is how can we get government closer to the grassroots or the people. Because of the Weberian theory, make the government stay away from the people. Weberian theory try to develop the professionalism of the government. So they don't want to realize that what is the public want. Because when the government go to be the professional, they will know everything. They don't want to know anything beyond or out of the data or information. So then make the government stay away from the people. So this is a big problem because when the government don't know what the people really want, they just know about what they want and they work with what they want, but they don't care about what the people want. This is the problem of inefficiency. The government lost a lot of money or budget, lost a lot of time, waste of time to develop a project. But when the project implement into the area, when the people don't want that project, they don't care. They don't care to get the project to be their benefit because they think that this is just the business of the government, not my business. So the second one is how can we make the government closer to the people? How the project of the government can solve the real problem of the people? The answer is the decentralization. The answer is the decentralization. So the government has to deliver the power or authority to the people and work together with the people. This is the decentralization. This is the answer to close the gap between government and people. And I think the third and the fourth the problem is the same one. It's like how can we make government perform better and deliver on the objectives? The answer is payment and employment reform and the new public management or NPM. In this answer, it tries to say that when we like to improve the quality of public services, we have to reform the employment and payment method of the government. We are talking about the incentive method. We are talking about how can we spend the money, the public money, to be worthy, to make or to create a project that can respond to the people needs, the public needs.
Kayaknya gue salah kelas.
So this is the approach or the answer that try to respond to the question that how can we make government perform better. So the answer is new public management. I'm not sure that the student in this room is ever study new public management or not. I'm quite sure that they are known about new public management. So we are talking about new public management. We are talking about how can we apply the business activities into the government activities. The main purpose is to decrease the inefficiency in public works. Because when we're talking about the business, you have to think about the cost and benefit. When you invest money into a project, you always thinking about how many benefits you get back from your invest. This is the idea that new public management try to apply the business management into the public management. Try to think that the government have to concern about the cost of the money. It's not just for free. When you are the officer, sometimes you have that this is the money of the government, not yours. So when you talk that it's not my money, so you spend it, that burn that one, burn the money. But you might think about the worthiness of the money that you pay, something like that. So we try in this question, we try to apply the new public management into the government. The fifth one is how can we make government more honest? Of course, that the honest is very big problem in the government. I think that every government always get the accusation to gossip about the corruption. Maybe did not do that, but when you go into the government, someday the corruption will be charged. The fifth question is how can we make the government more honest? So the answer is integrity and anti-corruption reform, anti-corruption reform. In this case, we are thinking about the good governance. We have to apply the good governance in the government, because the good government can solve the dishonest of the government. So this is the answer, try to make the government more honest. The good governance. Integrity is very important word. At the meantime, I am doing a research with the Ministry of Education in Thailand. The title is How to be Academic Honest. The academic honesty or integrity the same meaning. We try to apply the culturalism problems. We try to make education system quite clear. Or maybe it's like you can to improve the academic society to be better society, without the prejudice, something like that. This is my current research. And the sixth one is the problem is how can we make government more responsible to citizens? This is the newest question that the public administration at this time try to find the result or find the answer. But in this table, they say that we have to use the bottom-up approach to reform. The bottom-up, the policy should come from the bottom. The public agenda should come from the bottom, not just always from the top. Because when the government conduct the policy at Jakarta, then they set the policy to I forget your city. To the Kalimantan city,
Samarinda.
Samarinda. So maybe the people in Samarinda say that it's not my want. It's not just a Jakarta people want. So something like that. So this is the big question that we are talking in terms of public administration. Try to resolve the problem that how can we make the government more responsible to citizens. The reform is bottom-up reform, not top-down reform. So this is the series of reform. So today I will present to you in the sixth problem and the sixth answer. This is the answer that we try to find out the best practice for solving this problem. So in case of by the bottom-up approach in the theory of public administration, we propose the theory called governance. And in the governance, we have two minor theories. The first one is the new public governance. The second one is the new public services. In the new public governance, it's proposed by professors Stephen Osborne. This theory tries to propose that the bureaucratic hierarchy and administrative interest is not just the only way for the administration. And the managerial discretion and the contractual mechanism that dominated by new public management is not the right answer for the reform. So in the theory of new public governance, it tried to propose the concept of the idea different from the bureaucratic hierarchy, and it tried to propose the idea that different from the managerial discretion or managerial mechanism. Because the new public governance don't believe in the government. It don't believe in the government itself that can work by themselves. the new public governance try to dispute that or argue that the bureaucratic hierarchy system is not function. The managerial distribution is not function. But we have to apply the other methods to work together with this idea. The new public governance believes in citizens, not government at the center of the public administration as a whole. So this idea grounded in the concept of citizenship. The citizenship is not just the people that waiting for the service from the government, but they really want to join the activities of the government, and they would like to get the benefit from the action that they enjoy with the government, not just to be the passive one, but they are the active one, active who want to join the government business. And the new public governance grounded in the shared interest of citizens. That means that it's not just the private interest, but they're asking for the public interest of all citizens in the society. Because when we're talking about the citizens, sometimes we cannot jump across the boundary of the self-interest. So when we are talking about the citizenship, we have to talk about the sharing benefit for the all. So this is the key concept that the new public governance try to asking for the government to support the citizenship and the shared interest of the citizens. It means that when the government try to conduct the public delivery, they have to concern about the value or the demand of the citizen, and they have to open the door for the people or the citizen to join in the activities without any conditions. So when the government open the door for their people or their citizens, this idea believes that it will increase the efficiency and effectiveness of the public services. It's not just the authority of the state officers only, but the public services is the responsibilities of the citizens in the society, not just the responsibility of the public officers. This is the idea that the new public governance try to ask the government to be reformed, the mindset of them. So under this idea, the public service delivery is undertaken by multiple interdependent actors and pluralists. From this sentence, you can see the keyword multiple interdependent actors, not just public officers only. It might be the businessman, the civil society, the normal people, anybody that they want to join, they can have a right to join. with the government to make the public service delivery. So Professor Burgon said that it is the important thing for the interdependence between actors. So this idea really tried to create bureaucratic reform in terms of interdependence approach. Interdependence. That means that every party, every sector in the society have right to work together for making the public service delivery. This is an idea of the reform from this theory. This theory says that government is treated as just one actor alongside the others. And it is no longer assumed to be the sole or predominant forces, not just only one to do anything, everything in the society, not just anyone anymore, but everything have to work or have to be created by the interdependent. So sometimes we are seeing some activity like this, but this is a few activities that we can find. I think at this time it's very difficult for the government to reform itself following this idea. I don't know why. Or maybe the money, or the business, or the power. They don't want to share the power to the other because the power is very fruitful, is very good for the people that stay into the power. They don't want to share the power to the other, something like that. Blah, blah, blah. This is the other professor that very famous in concept of governance. Professor they said that the policy that guide the society are the outcome of the complex set of interaction. The complex set of interaction, not just the unique set of command. Unique set of command, not the complex set of interaction. The unique set of command is the concept of the government only. But the concept of governance is not just the uniqueness, it's complexity. You can see that governance and government is different. Governance and government is different. If you think about governance, you have to think about the complexity and interaction. And if you think about the government, you think about the uniqueness and the command or control. It's totally different. And the other keyword that I like to show to you in this slide is the unpredictable ways. The unpredictable ways mean that you cannot sure that what is the best solution. You cannot assure that it is the best solution until you pass the solution into the discussion of the society. It means that there is no one best way. It is no one best way from just only a party, but the one best way comes from the agreement or consensus of the party, of the people in the society. It's not just a one way from the government itself, but it should be the one way from the society. This is the concept that we try to reform the book. So the new public governance said that the centrality of citizens as co-producers. So the citizen in this theory is not just the receiver. It's not just a receiver. The citizen is the producer also. They are the producer also. But this theory say that it should be, the citizen should be a co-producer. A co-producer means that government and the people work together. When the society try to get the policy to deal with the flood or fire forest, they have the people and the government have to work together to conduct the policy to reduce the harm from fire, forest fire, or COVID-19 or the flood. The policy, every policy should come from the production from the government and the people together, working together. This is the new form of the public administration or the new form of the bureaucracy. The bureaucracy that is not the only one anymore, but the bureaucracy comes from the many. The bureaucracy that comes from the many parties should be the bureaucracy, not just officer. Is the government. So this idea, Mr. Dayano, if my time is run out, you can tell me. This idea is that the new public governance approach emphasizes on the first one is the organization relationship, and the second one is the governance of the process. I said to you that governance is different from the government. Governance is many to one. Government is one to many. You see that? Governance is a many to one approach. Government is the one to many approach. It depends on you that which way you trust. If you trust one to many, you trust in government. If you trust in many to one, you believe in governance. And governance is done by the inter-organizational relationships. So this concept emphasize in this concept deny to emphasize the intra-organizational process, but it emphasizes on inter-organizational process. Intra-organizational process means that the department in the government work together. Just only departments in the government work together. This is we call intra-organizational. But meaning of intern is not just the only government work by itself, but they have to invite the other parties to work with them together. So NPD denied the intra-organization, but emphasize on inter-organization. Intra-government means that the government works by using the department or department, but inter-organization is not just state department, but the other party outside of government put together. So it's different. In this concept, you can see that the NPG try to decrease the boundary of the government. It try to decrease about the boundary of government. It try to propose that the government has to open the door to the society and invite the society come inside, not shut the door and talking inside the government and then talk to the society. But they have to ask the society come into the government, discuss together, working together, and announce our work in the society together. So it's really different. So we call it reform. Then the other theory in the case of the new public services is the NPS, new public services, NPS. The former one is the NPG, or new public governance. The other theory is the new public services. In case of the new public services, the focus of this idea is said that it starts with the premise that the focus of public management should be citizens, community, and civil society. It is a familiar idea or the same idea of the NPG. Because the focus is not just the government itself, but the focus is outside the government. The focus of the public services should be outside the government. So in this concept, the primary roles of public servants is to help citizens articulate and meet their shared interests. So you can see that to help citizens, not to manage the citizen, to support, not to manage, to support, not to control, to support, not to order the citizen to do something that the public servant needs, but the public servant have to support the citizen to meet their needs.
Prof. Satapong,
Yep.
you have 10 minutes to finish your slide. 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. So the primary roles of public servants is to help citizens to meet their shared interests. Not the public servant work under their interest and other the people work under their interest. So this idea, the new public services, is distinct from the old public administration approach where citizens related to the bureaucracy as a client or constitution and were treated as passive. This is the old public administration. To say the people as the recipients. So it deny the concept of plurality and engagement. The new public services support the concept of plurality and engagement. It did not support control and hierarchy because it is the old public administration. If we talk about the governance, we have to talk about the plurality and engagement. This is a key concept. So the role of public official in this theory is to facilitate opportunities for strengthening citizen engagement. The citizen engagement is really important thing also. It's not just a participation. I think everyone in this room understand the participation, but the engagement is different. Engagement is like a partnership, but the participation is just you have a right to voice, you have a right to tell the government what do you want, but after that it is the duty or the responsibility of the government. But we talk about engagement. The people is not just the right to voice, but they have right to work with the government also. So the public works is not just the duty of the government anymore, but it is the work, the co-responsibility between government and people that they have a right to voice also. So in case of new public services, it focus more on the focus to the public servant to change or to reform their responsibility or their duty. This theory asking the public servants or public officials focus their duty on the brokering or the mediator, the middleman. The government official has to be the middleman that can share benefits and responsibility to every party and work with everybody equally. The second one is the public official has a skill on negotiating or negotiation. They have to have the right to have a skill like a negotiation skill, not just orders, but negotiate. The middleman, negotiation man, and the last one is the partner. The public servant has to be a partner of our party to work public services. So broker, negotiation, and partner. This is the duty of the new public officer under this theory. So under this theory, it addresses that the government need to be open, accessible, open the door. Everybody can access. The second one is accountable and responsive. Accountability, have accountability to the society, not just accountability to the boss, but the accountable to the people. They have to change their mind. Accountability to the boss, no, have to accountable to the people. And the third one is operate to serve citizens. It is the facilitator. The public servant has to perform their duty for the order and command to be the facilitator. So this theory, the new public service, the new public services use the concept of democratic citizenship. So it's different from the command and control theory concept. Democratic citizenship means that the people have a right to govern themselves. So when the people have a right to govern themselves, why not the government have to open the door to invite the people to share their power and work together? This is my last one, I think. Okay. Professor Bogan proposed approach to the new public administration under this concept contain 4 elements. The first one is government have to have the duty. The government have a duty to build collaborative relationship with citizens. The second one is the government have a duty to encourage share responsibility. Share responsibility. The third one is the government has a duty to disseminate information to the people to make the public trust. And the last one, the government have to seek opportunities to involve citizens in government activities. This is the main duty of the government under the bureaucratic reform by this system, building the collaborate, encourage responsibility, disseminating information, and involve citizens in the activity. By conclusion, in terms of the reform, we are outline this presentation outline the reform into 3 modes of public administration and management. The first one is public administration. That I mean that the statistics and bureaucratic. And the second one is the second reform is the new public management or new or NPM that emphasize on competitive and minimalist. And the last reform is the new public governance or governance that emphasize on plural and engagement. This is my presentation for today. I hope everyone can get the benefit of fruitful information that can support your work or your study in the later. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yes, thank you for Professor Tapon. Your knowledge is very insightful for us, and we got many benefits from this slide. I will try to make some note. There's some important perspective from you that you discuss about the major question for reforms. You say
Could you please speak louder?
Sorry, Ajahn?
Please speak louder.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, Professor Tapon, thank you so much for your explanation for us, because now we got a lot of insight and knowledge from you. Specifically talk about bureaucratic reform. Number one is you explain about major question for reform. And here we read a lot of question that is very important when we discuss about reform. And also you introduce about some condition of reform. For example, society is more complex and the old problem unresolved, and then new issues emerging. It is very important. And also different set of core belief and ideology, and etc. And here also we got some information from you. You explain about theory perspective and practical perspective, how to understood about bureaucratic reform. I think it's a lot of point we got from you. And now it's time for question and answer. And I look at in the chat room, we have some question. I think it's very interesting explanation from you. So many students try to ask you related your public lecture today. I will try to mention one by one. Number one is from Anna Mariana. Yeah, she is a fresh student because she joined in this university on 2019. Her question is,
Okay. Hello.
yes,
Hello. Okay. Repeat it one.
okay. Her question is, I want to ask a question. What effort can be made to improve bureaucratic performance? And what form of bureaucratic reform is considered most suitable for a presidential system of a government?
Okay.
Do you want to ask to answer one by one, or I can answer all of question?
One by one.
Okay, one by one. Yes, that is the first question for Anna Mariana.
Yeah. Thank you, Anna Mariana. The first question is, what effort can be made to improve bureaucratic performance? I think the mindset of the government official itself. Because when we talk about the bureaucratic reform, but we talk from the outside into the inside. It's not possible. It's impossible to reform. We have to let the people inside the door to understand what are changing outside and what are they really want to improve or adjust themselves. I mean that it's like a theory that export from the inside. Grow up. You have to discuss to maybe public meeting or something that you can access to the government officer and try to let them understand the situation and the necessary that they have to adjust. This is the first activity that we have to start before we talking about, okay, we have to resolve the constitution, draft the new constitution, make the new laws, and put the new law into the bureaucracy. It not work anymore. So the first thing that we have to make not our effort that we have to make the people who are stay inside the building to understand what's going on outside. So this is my answer to your first question. And the second question is what form of bureaucratic reform is the most suitable for the presidency system of the government. This is a very hard question, difficult question for me because I live in the other system of the government, like parliament system. So I think that, but I think that the most suitable one is decentralization. The decentralization means that the power for decision making should deliver from the president office to the local mayor as much as possible. I think it should be the suitable way for the president system of the government, because in terms of the government, the power of the decision making always has in the hand of the president. And if the president can decentralize the power to the local government as much as they can, I think the presidential system should be make a better solution for the people. I think that this is my idea about your question. So now you know.
Yes, Prof. And now we have some student from master degree. She want to directly ask with you, Professor Satapon. So please, Miss Amel, you can directly talk to him.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Daryono. Good evening, Mr. Satapon.
Yep.
Okay, I have two questions. Especially about implementation of reform in Thailand.
Please
The
talk
first
louder,
question.
Miss Amel. Please talk louder because sometimes
okay.
Don't worry, Mr. Dayono, you can conclude the question from the student because the signal is not good. Also.
Okay, we'll try. Please, Miss Amel.
Okay. My voice is clear, Mr.
Yes, clear now.
The first question. Now, from the series of reforms that you have described, which are most often approached implemented in Thailand? From 6 series of reforms and second question. In Indonesia, we have 8 roadmaps for bureaucratic reform, and 2 of which are always in society discussion in Indonesia, namely bureaucratic reforms, legislation, and human resource. Are these 2 things are included in bureaucratic reform in Thailand? And what about the implementation in Thailand? Thank you, sir.
Please repeat the question.
Yes, I will repeat her question, Prof. Satapon. I want to make the conclusion related her question. She has more than one question. Yeah. Number one is regarding your slide. You described that there are 6 areas of reform. And she asked which one most often implemented in Thailand? Which one areas? The second question.
Okay. One by one.
Okay.
I think the most suitable approach for Thailand right now, I think that I confirm that the 6th one is most suitable approach for adjust the bureaucratic system in Thailand. Because of now, it's not just Thailand, but every country in the world, we are under the disruption of the technology. The people can access information, anything that they want. They just have got mobile phone. They can access the internet, so they can access any information, and they can get the information to make their own decision making. So the form of the whole public administration, the form of the new public management is not fit for the society that people can access all information or news or data in the present. So I confirm that the most suitable idea for the bureaucratic reform in Thailand is this one, the governance.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Satapon. We go to the next question.
Mhm.
Her question number 2 is Indonesian perspective, because Indonesia have 8 area
Yeah.
related about bureaucratic reform,
Mm.
and he focused on some one area.
Yeah.
She tried to convey with us that in Indonesia we focus about the strengthening supervision and human resources. What do you think about that? And that the same topic or the same program where we try to compare between Indonesia and Thailand.
Oh.
When we talk about supervision and also human resources, we try to link it with public organization.
I have no idea about it. Sorry. A little bit.
Maybe we have different background.
Mm.
Maybe Miss Amel, why is she talk about that? Because in Indonesia, we have weakness about the supervision in everything, including in public services. So we want to know about these cases, either the same case or different perspective when we try to compare between Indonesia and Thailand perspective.
Compare for
Supervision program in public services, and also when we talk about transparency and maybe about the budgeting and everything, because we have a lot of weakness about this department. So sometimes we ask more about how to control about the budget belong to local government maybe or nation government, and how to manage about this resource, so government can increase about the quality of his services for the civil servant, for all, for the people.
I think that when we talk about how we increase the efficiency of the government, we have to like the first question that I try to explain that when we try to improve the government officer, work, the first thing that you have to trust in the people. If we cannot open the people to join in the public officers activities, it's very difficult for us to reform the government. Even in public finance or the human resource management. So, and it's very difficult for us to talk about how can we reform that without the trust in the government, even the trust in the people, the trust in the people. I think I'm not sure that I can respond to the right question because it's pretty difficult for me to explain about it.
Yes, Ajahn, sometimes when we talk about the trust between people, government, and etc., is quite difficult. So the citizen or people want to know about the government planning. And when we try to understand more about the performance of government, sometimes people don't untrust with government.
Right.
It is problem. This problem. Why the people want to control about government performance, specifically about local government. So Ms. Amel want to understand more about these cases. She asked about this strengthening supervision. It is the most important and concept of bureaucratic reform in Indonesia. When when we successful to strengthen upon supervision, I think it can control everything, including in budgeting, etc. Okay, I think enough, Miss Amel. We go to the next question. The third student is Siti Rahmah. She is a student from public administration, and she has question about the latest approach in public service reform is bottom-up approach, which is expected to answer the question of how we can make government more responsive to the citizens. The question is, can the reform process still be used today, or are they no longer used? Okay, Achan.
I believe that it still be used, but we have to believe in the people power. This is the major thing that we have to talk when we say about the bureaucratic reform. You know, when we talk about the bureaucratic reform, we talk about the power reform also. The power relationship reform, not just the structural functional reform. If we can change the structure, if we can change the function of the government, we can do that anytime, because we just gathering the counting the vote, making to the ballot, and in the election, we win election, we give the government, and we can change the law. But it not work, doesn't work anymore. This is lesson from the past. But this approach is not function. Like you and me got a lot of experience. So my question is, if we talk about the bureaucratic reform, we have to believe in people power, and we have to stand beside, stand together to insist for the people power. We have the right to vote. We have right to asking for the reform. This is about the important thing that we talk about the bottom up. This is my answer.
Okay, thank you, Achan. And then we still have some question. This question from Abiba Fiona. Good afternoon, Mr. Satapon Rongtan. My name is Abiba Fiona. Nice to meet you. I am from Lawarman University. I want to ask about why is bureaucratic reform needed to improve the public services system?
It is
a
the
very
same.
general question, and we can discuss about this question.
It is the same side in one coin. The bureaucratic reform is the process, and public service system is the outcome. So we have to, if we talk about the process reform, we can aim to the better results of the outcome. So it's the same side in the one coin. If we like to take the better service from the government, we have to talk about the reform. And my recommendation is the reform is come from the bottom, come from the inner, and explore outside.
Okay, thank you, From. And the next question from Gusti Naufal. His question is, wait a minute. In your presentations, there are several major questions for reform are mentioned. Does this apply to certain countries, or can it be applied in any country, including in Indonesia?
Of course, even in the Communist Party regime, because you are the rulers, You are the executive. If you don't want to be the dictatorship, if you want to improve the quality of life of the people in your country, you have to try to think how to reform your government at any time. Always, like I said, that when we talk about the reform, we talk about the dynamic approach, not static approach. So even now in China, I think President Xi Jinping tried to reform his government every time that he can. You can see, you can watch it news. Okay, but maybe the context of the government is one party and several party reaching different process of the reform. But we have, when we have to talk about reform, we have to talk about this question. It's a basic concept, the basic question also. Maybe some question more advanced, but I don't want to present at this moment.
Okay, Prof. So this concept is possible to implement it in anywhere, right? In every country. And the next question comes from Gustino Fall. Bureaucratic is often marked with high employee growth and expansion of this organizational structure and make the bureaucracy is getting bigger and bigger. How to make bureaucratic more efficient?
Make it smaller. The same, my question. Make it smaller. This is my question. But it's very difficult. I agree with you. The same case in Thailand. When we talk about the reform, political reform, we have new department. When we talk about government, okay, we have to reform the government. We can get a new department, new ministry. Why? Because of like I said, that when we talk about the bureaucratic reform, we talk about the power relationship reform also. Sometimes this is just joking, seriously. Copy my word in the social media. I think no time for reform. Revolution also.
Okay, now you have question from lecturer.
Okay.
Yes. Her name is Dr. Santi Rande. She is one of lecturer in my department. So I think it's more difficult the question because come from the lecturer. Good evening, Mr. Satapon Rongtam. Thank you for the great presentation. My name is Santi Rande. I am a lecturer in public administration. My question, in your explanation of public service reform problems and a process, it was stated that the solution to a problem is creating a more honest government is through integrity approach and anti-corruption reforms. In your opinions, what kind of breakthrough is considered the most effective in closing the gap in corruption in the bureaucratic order?
Decentralization. The real decentralization. My theory is the decentralization always not into the hand of the people. When we talk about decentralization, we talk about the decentralization, the power from the central government to the local government. But this is not enough. I propose the three-step decentralization. The first one from the central to the local. And the second one is the local to the local. I'm not sure the system in Indonesia is like Thailand. In Thailand, we have a central government, local government, we have 5 types of local government, and then the people. So if in your country, it's just to level of the government deliver the power from the government to local and deliver the power from the local to the citizen. I call decentralization to the hand of the people. This is can close the gap of the corruption, the bureaucratic orders. This is just only if we have this is just deliver the people into the hand of the public office in the local government. I sure that the corruption will happen and cannot be released. And if we can deliver or decentralize the power to the people and change the law of the public officer to be the facilitator, not just the other people, we can reduce the opportunity to be a corrupt.
Okay, Prof. The next question is from Agus Aji Hermawan. He is one of student from the master degree in public administration. He has 2 questions. Good evening, Mr. Satapon Rongtam. My name is Agus Aji Hermawan from Magister Administration Public 2020, Faculty of Social Political Sciences. Number 1 is it okay new public management apply in Indonesia as development country? And the second one, what do you think about Indonesian government?
The first one is, I think that the new public management is outdated. It's not appropriate for the current situation anymore. Because the new public management is just the tool for reform, a little bit reform, not the big change as we wish to. It's just like when you don't want to dress with suit, you just get it off, take it off, and you find a new suit, and you think, okay, it's like very nice. And when I wear this, I look like very handsome, more handsome. It's just that. I think the new public management is not the reform and make the better choice for us. I think the governance is better. And the second one, what do you think, Indonesian government? Sorry, I have no idea. But your president is good guy, Mr. Jokowi. I'm not sure, but I ever saw him in the BBC for international interview. He's a good guy, but unfortunately, I cannot answer this question.
Thank you, Prof. To be honest, that I know you have a lot of college, maybe some politicians from Indonesia, you know, Megawati and etc. So that's why my student asked about that, because you have some research in Indonesia, research in Bojonegoro, and also another agency in Indonesia. So at least you understand about the government in Indonesia. Maybe when discuss about the corruption cases and others, you can explain more here. But if you don't mind, if you don't want to describe it, it doesn't matter, because here we have a lot of students. Maybe we can discuss in a specific class. Maybe we can discuss about the corruption cases. Again and again, we got question from Pak Jalil. Pak Jalil is student from Magister program and he has high spirit to study in our department. So he being here and try to ask you some question. How do you think about our country Indonesia? Again and again talk about Indonesia cases. Can match developed countries in terms of implementing bureaucratic reform, which are still developing country status? Thank you. What do you think?
Can match with Indonesia, right?
Yes, the last question.
I think this question should be the research of us, with Muraman and Punjab University. I think I would like to get this question to be the research question in the next round.
Yeah, we can answer together, and when you come here, we can research about these cases.
Right.
Okay, a lot of question emerge here, and Professor Tapon already answered all of question. I think we in the end of the section. So as a moderator, I would say thank you so much for Professor Tapon. Your knowledge is very nice, and many students give you many questions. Means the indicators that this public lecture is very interesting for us. And again, thank you so much. It is not the last class. I think you have a lot of opportunity to visit again in Mulawaraman University. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
As please give applause to him. Yes. Okay. For me, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Sataporn Rengtam, PhD, as the speaker, and Mr. Daryono, MSc, PhD, as the moderator for this lecturing session. The next session is Handover the Certificate from Study Program Coordinator of Public Administration, Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Mulawarman University, Indonesia. Dr. Fajar Apriani, SOS, MSc. To the invited speaker from Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Khon Kaen University, Thailand, Professor Sataporn Rengtam, PhD. For Dr. Fajar Apriani, time is yours.
Good afternoon, Prof. Sataporn Rengtam from Thailand. Thank you very much for making time in your busy schedule to attend and sharing your fabulous knowledge in this event. As the head of committees, here's the certificate as the appreciation for your contribution in this international guest lecture as speaker. I'm very proud of our students and all enthusiastic participants of this event, and I believe that all the knowledge will be very useful for the participant. Thank you very much, Prof. Satapon Rongtem. Khop Hun Ma.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fajar Apriani, SOS, MSc. Now, hand over the certificate from Study Program Coordinator of Public Administration, Dr. Fajar Apriani, SOS, MSc, to the invited moderator, Mr. Daryono, MSc, PhD. The certificate is awarded to Mr. Daryono, MSc, PhD, as the moderator. Thank you very much, Dr. Fajar Apriani, SOS, MSc, and Mr. Daryono, MSc, PhD, as the moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, our lecturing session for today hereby finished. We are about to close our agenda today. May the knowledge will be beneficial for all of us. On behalf of the committee of Mulawarman University, I will send my biggest gratitude to prominent speakers for sharing valuable presentation today. I would also thank all of you, guests, colleagues, and participants for making time in your busy schedules to join today's webinar. Last but not least, I would like to apologize if we have done any mistake throughout the event. I'm Safira Aurelia. It's been my pleasure to be the master of ceremony for today's event. And see you in the upcoming webinar. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Biasa, thank you Bu Fajar, sukses acaranya. Terima kasih adik-adik semuanya.
Lancar jaya.
Terima kasih banyak Bapak Ibu yang sudah berkenan hadir, dari dosen administrasi publik, dosen FISIP Unmul, dari mahasiswa S1 maupun dari mahasiswa S2 Magister Administrasi Publik, juga mahasiswa dari luar perguruan tinggi penyelenggara, diantaranya ada peserta dari Universitas Brawijaya yang sudah ikut berpartisipasi dalam kegiatan International Guest Lecture yang kami selenggarakan pada hari ini. Tanpa dukungan dan partisipasi Bapak Ibu sekalian, tentu kegiatan ini tidak akan berjalan lancar. Terima kasih pula saya ucapkan kepada panitia yang telah bekerja dengan baik dalam pelaksanaan kegiatan pada hari ini. Semoga kita selalu dalam keadaan sehat dan semangat. Semoga ilmu yang diperoleh melalui kuliah umum ini bermanfaat bagi Bapak Ibu semua. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih Pak Jalil, Mbak Amel, Mas Aji sudah hadir.
Baik Pak, sama-sama Pak.
Sama Pak.
Salam sehat.
Salam sehat selalu. Mas Aji besok lagi jangan lupa ya.
Amin.
Insya Allah Pak.